I brought in 4 pro builders, including myself, to compete in a build battle. We have 5 hours to build anything ocean themed, from awesome organics to epic structures. Who will win? Stick around to the end to find out. Let's see how David made this epic looking owl.
I am an organic builder, which means I'm probably gonna build an organic. But first, I needed an idea. When I thought about it, I hadn't built a bird in like a few months. So maybe it's about time. After scrolling a bunch of Pinterest, I found a lot of really cool references of owls. I started off by making the main shapes, that being the body, wings and the tail. I did struggle a little bit with the wings, but I'm happy with the shaping, even though I could see some things improved. But then again, I only got 5 hours to build it, so it isn't that bad. The coloring didn't take very long compared to the shaping, but coloring the face of the owl did take quite a while. To make the build more connected to the sea theme we had, it's a baby owl that had fallen into the sea. So the story of the scene is that the owl mother flew around looking for its baby in the ocean. The scene is the exact moment when she flies down to her child before she saves it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with my build and I can't wait to see the others.
Kamudia is our next contestant. She made this cool ocean monument redesign. She first started with pillars made out of smooth quartz blocks with sandstone detailing. Then she added a roof with a sort of Greek style using dark prismarine. She did the same thing on the top roof, only with a smaller scale. As the main part of the ocean monument, she used pillars on the bottom, which then she added walls with blue-green gradient and deep windows with gray stained glass with black concrete behind the glass. We only had a limited amount of time, so an interior would not be practical. She then started to work on the next part of the building with a circular perimeter. She added some windows around the dome and some pillars with a roof on top of that. She then copied the front side and pasted it to the back. To wrap up the detailing for this build, she used the boulder tool from Archeon to make the terrain. She then turned the grass into sand, which she then put some custom-made kelp and some other detailing. Then she made a light gray glass ball around it and filled it in with water. And that should wrap up the build. Why are you making it so hard?
I want to catch this whale, you know what I mean? Is the bird drowning?
Poor bird.
Now there's still a lot of video left, but if you're liking this video so far, please drop a like and sub, it would be greatly appreciated. Now back to the video. Saber is up next and he made this cozy island house.
Started off, I made some oval terrain with some jagged edges. To the bottom of the terrain, I added some legs that are kind of like octopus tentacles. Hopefully you can see now that I'm trying to build a fantasy creature. And to the top of this fantasy creature, I'm going to build a majestic castle. To get a rough idea of what I was envisioning, I make a wireframe of the castle. Then I start filling it in and texturing it. Right now this build is looking way too depressing, so I add some moss patches and some lapis ore and light blue terracotta. Most of the texturing was done by hand. This is because I think I get more control over the blocks I place, but this was very stupid and I barely had any time to finish it. I finished up the texturing and then I added some greenery and small details to spruce up the build. The bottom of the build was a bit plain in my opinion, so I decided to add some wavy water, and using white stained glass, I made it look even more like this creature was moving through the water. After 5 hours of paranoia about worrying if I had finished or not, I finally finished the build, and in my opinion, I think it was worth it.
Finally, my build, and I'm going to do something I've never done before, organics. First thing I'm going to do is make the set piece for my build. I'm going to try to pull off a wavy ocean. So on top of this blue cube, I'm going to create some small hills and smooth them out. Then on top of those hills, I'll add some snow layers. I'll then convert the snow layers to water layers, and now I have my wavy ocean. Not terrible for my first attempt. Now time for the main attraction. First I'm going to create a line to get the direction and a rough size estimate of the whale. Next I'm going to fill out the shape of the whale with spheres. I should have used bigger spheres. And after over an hour of placing spheres, I finally got a shape I kind of liked. Now I have to smooth out the shape. After a few adjustments, I'll move on to the fin. The reference photo I'm using has the fins going out in 2 very different directions, so I'll try and capture that. I worked on the first fin, but I just could not get the size right. So I just moved on to the other fin with a better point of reference. This helped me out a lot to get the proper size on the other fin. Now it's time to fill in the fins. Archeon's loft tool did it for me with just a few clicks. Now time for the tail. This is where I realized the error of my ways. You see, I should not have turned the water into water yet. I needed room to actually make the tail, so back to blue wool we go. After creating some space, I connected the body down to the tail and started the shape of it. I attempted to use loft poorly and the tail did not come out. So the next very logical decision was to fill it out by hand. Then my 3 working brain cells came to the realization that the tail was attached incorrectly. So attempt number 2 on the tail. I shaped out the tail and used loft a bit better this time. I did some manual touch-ups and the tail turned out okay. It doesn't matter how ugly it is since it will be covered up by water anyway. Now off to color the whale. The reference for the whale is kind of gray, so I'll create a gray gradient for the darker areas. Now to add a white gradient for the lighter areas. And don't worry, I gave the whale eyes, so it's no longer blind. I didn't like how small the ocean area was, so I quickly moved my build, expanded the blue cube, added my waves, and turned it all into water. Now to the fun part, the splashy splash. I'll simulate the water particles with white stained glass, white glass paints, and white wool towards the base. I added some spheres of those blocks around the whales and a few arcs. As a final touch, I added a small fishing boat to give this whale some scale. And now my build is finished. Surprised I was able to get this done in only 5 hours. Time for the final judgment, and the judges will be YouTubers Nikabe and Dactus.
I like the water. It's got very realistic water. It does have some interesting texturing, but I like it.
The underside is a bit lacking. The tentacles is a bit weird. I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
I'm gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10.
Bro, and nothing is waterlogged.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing inside?
Nope.
Oh god.
I like the giant kelp things around it though. Those are kind of cool.
I give it a 5.5 out of 10.
I'm gonna have to go with a 6.25.
Why are you making it so hard?
Well, you have to be precise with these things because it's better than a 6, but it's not a 7.
Oh boy.
What do you think of this one?
Ooh,
I like this.
I like the little boat over here.
Should be like a chest with fishing rods here so we can just like fish. I want to catch this whale, you know what I mean? I'll give it this 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna have to go with an 8 out of 10. This is a nice whale. Could have been a 9 out of 10 if there was a bucket of fishing rods.
Hell yeah.
I like the ripples in the water.
Is the bird drowning?
Poor bird.
I don't know about this glass. I guess it's supposed to like be foam, but it doesn't really make sense. I would say this is equal to the previous one. Yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Ooh, this one, I'm gonna have to go with a 7.5 out of 10.
And by averaging out their final ratings, we get our final standings. In 4th, we have Kamudia with a 5.875 rating. In 3rd place, we have Saber with a 7 rating. Taking 2nd place, we have David with a 7.25 rating. And that leaves me in 1st with a 7.5 rating. I promise I didn't rig this. We also had our Discord server, link in the description. Vote on which build is their favorite. The house, monument, and owl all tied with 1 vote, and my build got 3 votes. So do you agree with these results? Let us know in the comments, and I better not see rigged in the comment section.